Dear ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of magnifying what we fear and minimizing what we're capable of. Fear whispers in your ear that you're not enough, that the mountain ahead is too high, that the dream in your heart is too big for you to carry. But what if I told you that the difference between being paralyzed by fear and moving forward with confidence lies in your focus? Fear loses its grip when you decide where to place your attention. And today, I want to tell you that when you choose to focus more on your purpose, on your growth, on your faith, you will naturally fear less. You see, fear feeds on distraction. It grows when your mind is scattered, when you're worrying about 1,000 possible outcomes. But when your focus narrows on what matters most, fear doesn't stand a chance. Think about it. Have you ever been so locked in on a goal, so determined to finish a task, that you forgot to be afraid? That's what happens when focus takes over. Fear gets pushed to the background. The truth is, you can't control everything that happens in life, but you can control where you put your energy. If you focus on fear, fear expands. If you focus on faith, courage expands. If you focus on failure, doubt expands. If you focus on possibility, confidence expands. That's the power of focus. It multiplies what you give it to. So I challenge you today, stop letting fear write your story. Refuse to let fear dominate the headlines of your life. Instead, sharpen your focus on your values, your vision, your future, and watch how fear begins to shrink. 10 key points of the speech. Fear grows when your focus is scattered. Focus directs your energy toward what truly matters. You can't control everything, but you can control your attention. Fear expands when you feed it. Faith expands when you focus on it. Staying locked in on your goals pushes fear into the background. Focus helps you silence the noise of distractions and doubt. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Fear shrinks when you prioritize growth over comfort. Focusing on possibilities opens the door to courage and confidence. A fearless life begins when you decide to focus more and fear less. Fear grows when your focus is scattered. Think about it. Most of the time, fear doesn't come from what is actually happening in this very moment. It comes from what might happen. Your mind runs in 1,000 different directions, building stories that haven't even taken place yet. You start thinking, what if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I'm not enough? And the more directions your thoughts take, the heavier the fear becomes. It's not that the problem is so big, it's that your attention is so divided. Imagine trying to carry 10 buckets of water at once. You'll spill everything and you won't get far. That's what happens when your focus is scattered. You give a little piece of yourself to every worry, every insecurity, every voice of doubt, until you feel drained and overwhelmed. Fear multiplies because it feeds on all those little scattered pieces of your energy. But when you stop scattering your focus, when you gather your thoughts and point them in one direction, fear loses its power. It's like a magnifying glass. When light is scattered, it doesn't make much difference, but when it's focused, it can start a fire. The same goes for you. A scattered focus leaves you vulnerable to fear, but a focused heart creates strength, clarity, and momentum. Many people live paralyzed because their minds are too busy juggling every what-if scenario. Fear thrives in that environment. But when you take a step back and decide, I'm not going to focus on 100 things that could go wrong, I'm going to focus on one thing I can do right. Suddenly the noise quiets down. Fear can't survive when your focus becomes steady. So the question is not, do I have fear? Because everyone does. The question is, where am I putting my focus? Because scattered focus is like oxygen for fear. It gives it room to breathe and grow. But a directed focus suffocates fear. You can't stop the thoughts from knocking on the door, but you can stop letting them live in your house. And when you begin to discipline your mind to bring it back from being scattered, you'll realize that fear was never as powerful as it seemed. It only looked that way because you were giving it too much attention. Fear often looks bigger than it is because we magnify it with our imagination. Think about how many times you've been afraid of something that never even happened. We take a small challenge and blow it up into a giant monster in our minds. A conversation you need to have, a project you need to start, a dream you want to pursue. It feels terrifying, not because it's impossible, but because you've allowed fear to set the narrative. Fear whispers, what if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? What if this costs you everything? And soon, you've built a whole movie in your head about how badly it could all go. But here's the truth, most of what you fear will never actually happen. Fear is a liar, and it thrives when your imagination works against you instead of for you. When you choose to focus more, fear loses its grip because you stop feeding it with endless what-ifs. You begin to direct your energy toward what you can do instead of what might go wrong. Fear grows in the shadows, in uncertainty, in the places where your focus is absent. But when you shine your attention like a spotlight on the step you need to take right now, fear starts to shrink. Fear doesn't need you to fail. It just needs you to be distracted long enough to never even try. The more you obsess over outcomes, the more paralyzed you become. But the moment you say, I don't need to know the whole path, I just need to take the next step, fear starts to lose its audience. It's not about eliminating fear completely. That's not realistic. Fear is part of being human, but it's about choosing where to put your focus. If you stare at the storm, the waves look like they'll crush you. If you fix your eyes on the direction you're going, you'll find the courage to row through it. Fear feeds on divided attention, but focus is what starves it. Every time you narrow your attention to what matters, you take back territory that fear has stolen from you. And little by little, as you discipline your focus, you'll see that fear was never the immovable wall you thought it was. It was just a shadow that disappeared the moment you turned on the light of your focus. So many people live their entire lives letting fear drive their decisions, but when you begin to truly focus, you discover that fear has far less authority than you ever thought. Fear thrives on distraction. It wants your eyes darting to every possible scenario, every potential failure, every voice of doubt around you. The more scattered your attention becomes, the louder fear sounds. But the moment you decide, I will not give my attention to everything, I will give it to the one thing that matters most right now, something powerful shifts inside you. Focus becomes a filter that lets you choose what deserves your energy and what doesn't. And when fear realizes it no longer controls the spotlight, it begins to fade into the background. You see, fear is like static on a radio. When you keep turning the dial back and forth, the static overwhelms the signal. But if you stay tuned to the right frequency, the static becomes background noise. That's what focus does. It tunes your life into the frequency of faith, discipline, and purpose so clearly that fear can only mumble in the distance. It may still be there, but it no longer has the volume to stop you, and here's the beauty of it. The more you practice focus, the more confidence you build. You don't overcome fear in one dramatic moment. You overcome it step by step, choice by choice, by deciding again and again to keep your attention fixed on what actually moves you forward. Think about a runner in a race. If they keep looking at the crowd, at who's cheering or who isn't, at how far ahead someone else is, they'll stumble. The only way to finish is to lock in on the finish line, one stride at a time. Life is the same. Fear wants you distracted by the noise, what people think, what might go wrong, what's behind you. But focus calls you to lift your eyes and run your race. And when you run with focus, you realize that fear can follow you, but it cannot stop you. It can whisper, but it cannot define you. Focus transforms fear from a giant that blocks your path into a shadow that walks beside you. Shadows may look intimidating, but they have no substance. The only reason they seem big is because of the light shining behind you. So don't spend your life fighting shadows. Spend it walking in the light of purpose, vision, and courage. Fear doesn't have the final word. your focus does. And the more you give your energy to what matters, the more unstoppable you become. There is something remarkable that happens when you shift your focus from what you fear to what fuels you. You start to see opportunities that were always there but were invisible when your eyes were clouded by worry. Fear narrows your vision. It locks you in a small box where all you can see are the worst case scenarios. But focus, true intentional focus, widens your perspective. It allows you to notice doors you didn't even know existed. Fear says, "What if you fail?" But focus asks, "What if this is the very moment where you grow?" Fear makes you obsess over what could break, but focus makes you realize that even if something breaks, you can rebuild it stronger. When you fix your attention on your goals, your values, and the greater calling that's placed on your life, fear loses its grip. It's not that fear disappears overnight, it's that it becomes weaker compared to the vision you've set before you. Think of it like staring at the sun setting on the horizon. The more you gaze at the beauty and the colors, the less you notice the shadows behind you. Your focus has a way of magnifying possibility and shrinking intimidation. That's why people who live with clarity, who wake up every day knowing what they're chasing, seem fearless. It's not that they don't feel fear, it's that their focus makes fear irrelevant, and this is where the transformation happens. Focus gives you alignment. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions start working together instead of against each other. Without focus, your energy is scattered in 1,000 directions, and fear thrives in that chaos. But when you bring all of yourself into one direction, when your heart and mind say the same thing, fear has no room to settle in. That's why you can see ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things, because they decided to focus more on what's ahead than what's against them. Fear feeds on hesitation, but focus feeds on action. The more focused steps you take, even if they're small, the weaker fear becomes. Every time you choose progress over paralysis, you're telling fear it doesn't get to run the show. Focus rewrites your story. It replaces "I'm not enough" with "I'm growing every day." It turns "what if I lose" into "what if this teaches me?" And that change of perspective, that shift from fear to focus, is what allows breakthroughs, success, and peace to flow into your life. There comes a point in every journey where fear will try to disguise itself as wisdom. It will whisper, "Maybe you shouldn't take that step. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe this isn't for you." And if you're not careful, you'll mistake fear's voice for caution and let it talk you out of the very thing that was meant to change your life. But when you choose to focus, when you fix your eyes not on the uncertainty but on the promise that lies ahead, something powerful begins to happen inside of you. Focus gives you resilience. It makes you rise up when fear tries to push you down. It keeps you steady when the waves of doubt are crashing all around. You see, fear is loud, but focus is steady. Fear screams in your ear, demanding your attention, while focus quietly builds strength in your heart. The world will always present you with reasons to be afraid: the economy, relationships, failures from the past, insecurities about the future. But if you allow fear to dictate your decisions, you'll end up living beneath your potential. Focus, on the other hand, doesn't deny that challenges exist. It acknowledges them, but it refuses to bow to them. Focus says, "Yes, this is hard. Yes, I don't have all the answers, but I refuse to let fear write the ending of my story." When you lock in on your vision and commit to it, you stop giving energy to fear. Fear thrives when you feed it with overthinking, worrying, and replaying the worst scenarios in your mind. Focus thrives when you feed it with discipline, consistency, and faith. And the truth is, whatever you feed grows. If you feed fear, it multiplies. But if you feed focus, it strengthens your ability to walk forward with courage, even in uncertainty. That's why the most impactful people are not necessarily the most talented. They are the most focused. They've decided that their purpose is greater than their fear. So, every time you find yourself tempted to look at what could go wrong, make the choice to turn your eyes toward what could go right. Every time fear tells you to stop, let your focus remind you of why you started. Fear will always try to delay you, distract you, and detour you, but focus has the power to keep you aligned, moving, and believing, even when the path is unclear. And when you live with that kind of focus, you don't just silence fear, you starve it until it has no power left.